Good morning, dear brothers and sisters in Christ, and anyone this video is finding you today. Today's verse of the day comes to us from Mark 6, verses 31 and 32. He said to them, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." So they went in a boat to a solitary place. Let's read where this comes from. This comes from this story of Jesus fed the 5,000. So Mark 6, starting in verse 30. Reading from the NLT this morning. The apostles returned to Jesus from their ministry tour and told them all about what they had done and what they taught. Then Jesus said, "Let's go off by ourselves to a quiet place and rest a while." He said this because there were so many people coming and going that Jesus and his disciples didn't even have time to eat. So when they left by boat for a quiet place where they could be alone, but many people recognized them and saw them leaving, and people from many towns ran along the shore to get there ahead of them. Jesus saw the huge crowd as he stepped off from the boat, and he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he began teaching them many things. Late in the afternoon, his disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place, and it's already late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the nearby farms and villages and buy some food to eat." But Jesus said, "You feed them." With what they asked, we'd have to work for months to earn enough money to buy food for all these people. "How much bread do we have?" he asked. "Go and find out." They came back and reported that they had 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Then Jesus told his disciples to have the people sit down in groups on the grass. So they sat down in groups of 50 or 100. Jesus took the 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fish and looked up towards the heavens and blessed them. Then, breaking the loaves into pieces, he kept giving the bread to the disciples so they could distribute it to the people. He also divided the fish for everyone to share. They all ate as much as they wanted, and afterwards the disciple picked up 12 baskets of leftover bread and fish. A total of 5,000 men and their families were fed. So, do you hear this? How beautiful this is. I know from personal experience, I'm tired. I'm tired. This spiritual warfare is taking a toll. It's taken a huge, huge toll. And I'm so tired, physically exhausted. And Jesus, right here, he was physically exhausted. His disciples were physically exhausted. And he just wanted to regroup with his friends. But the people, our brothers and sisters out there, the people, like Jesus said, he had compassion on them. They were sheep without a shepherd. And he put aside his exhaustion, his disciples' exhaustion, and just continued to teach. You know, every once in a while you need to regroup. And the very next passage in verse 45 is Jesus walks on the water. You know, he finally got a chance to go and be alone with the Father and went to visit his scared his friends on the boat in the middle of the water. But that's for another time. But Jesus rested when he needed to. And we are meant to rest. That's what the Sabbath is for. The Sabbath day is to rest because God, Abba Father, he made everything we see right now. And on the 7th day, he's like, "It's good. I'm going to go take a nap now." So we need to look at it like that. And it's interesting that this is coming up again in Mark, because Mark came up on Sunday for me. In Mark 2, the story of when they're walking towards away from the village, and it was a Sabbath day, and Jesus' disciples were grabbing pieces of the oats and the wheat and eating it on Sabbath. And the Pharisees got all like, how could you do that? And Jesus put them in their place, And it was like Sunday for me, I just was so tired. I was so tired. I've been so tired lately, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning when God's like, hey, I want to talk to you. So I've been getting up and I read that passage, and it was talking about how the Sabbath is meant for us to rest. To rest. God's like, hey, I'm resting, you rested. Let's all rest. Jesus again, here. Hey, let's rest. Let's rest. Let's rest. And even though he couldn't really rest that day because, you know, the people, the crowds, they were running along the shore, running along as his boat's going. And they were running along, and he didn't really get a chance to rest, and he didn't need to. Like, he wanted to, and his disciples wanted to, but he really didn't need to because he felt he had to keep going. You know, he had compassion. They were sheep without a shepherd. Brothers and sisters, we have to continue doing what we're doing. We have to make our videos. We have to work on our platforms. We have to share the gospel. We have to keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. These people who don't know, they are like sheep without a shepherd. And our shepherd is Jesus Christ. And we are his worker bees. We are his workers. And we have to work. This passage, this whole story, he said he wanted him and his disciples to go rest. And that's what the verse of the day is. And yes, you can take the verse of the day and go from there, but you need to read the whole chapter. Even though he said, let's go off by ourselves to a quiet place and rest a while, that didn't happen. Because the crowds were so hungry and wanted the words and wanted the teachings and needed the lessons. Because they were like sheep without a shepherd. And he continued to work. So he began teaching them many things. He continued to work, and he fed them. And that's what we need to do. I'm tired. You're tired. The evil is ramped up so hard. It's really taken a toll on so many of us. But we have to continue to work. Do you understand? Continue to work like Jesus continued to work.